Well, here we are.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to Sister My Soul with Asha and Victoria. And we have a treat of a beautiful October day. And Asha and I have not seen each other since the quarantine.
And since before that,
and
for a
before
really
that,
long time.
maybe even 2 years.
Yeah, at least.
So
Yeah.
we're adjusting to seeing each other without a screen, in person, with energetic love present. So good. So thank you for being with us today. And as we do, we just jump into conversation. We invite you to be in this conversation. We invite you to just take some time for you to be with us and explore whatever issues come. We never know, but it's like whatever I'm holding, whatever you're holding,
Yeah.
it's part of the collective for all, but also specifically for the sisterhood, the collective sisterhood. So yeah, I mean, I feel so good just being outside. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I'm like, all is well. Sitting by her labyrinth, and that's her meditation area. This, you call it the glass house?
The glass house,
Where
yeah.
you do meditation.
Because at a glass house, you can't throw stones.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I love that. No stone throwing.
Yeah.
So, well, where are you today, and how are you?
I'm good. Something felt maybe a week or two ago starting to shift, and definitely in the last week, even with all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world and all the increased nuttiness in our country in particular. Somebody that I know said, I'm really having a tough time. I'm really depressed. And I said, I get that. A lot of people are really struggling right now. A lot. I've been talking a lot about surfing the waves because I'm up and down every other day. And when we were talking, I said, we know, because we know what we've practiced and studied for decades now, that our happiness is not outside of us. We know that in our brain and often in our body, but our body forgets a lot. And especially with all of the trauma that's been happening in the last year, it's like I forgot that for a while. My happiness does not depend on my peace. Happiness is a different word. My peace does not depend on whatever's going on outside of me. My peace depends on what's going on inside of me. And I was taking care of my stepdad. I help put him to bed a couple of nights a week. 4 nights a week is my time. And I get to really just love him up while I'm doing that. And my father passed away the week before Christmas last year. He was living in California. I had helped to move him into an assisted living place after his wife passed away. And then I got him all settled in, and I got to really love him up those 2 weeks I was there. And then it felt like I was leaving my baby at daycare forever, because I didn't know when I was going to go back to California. And I was scheduled to go back the week after he passed away.
Oh, wow.
So I was mad at him, like, you couldn't have waited a whole week. But he was really in a lot of struggle and breathing. This was well before COVID. He had all kinds of other stuff. So I've been taking care of my stepdad the other night, and I feel this wave of grief for my dad. I miss my dad. And I felt, I actually just stopped what I was doing, and I gave my stepdad Richard, because he's been my other dad, my bonus dad, for over 35 years. And in many ways, as much of a dad as my own dad. And so I said, I just hugged him. And he's like, what? And I said, I'm just missing my dad right now. And I'm so glad that I can be with you and love you up the way I would be loving him up if I was with him. And then I just noticed I was feeling unsettled. And I came back home. My husband was there, and we chatted for a little bit. And I noticed I was a little edgy. And I said, I'm sorry, honey, I'm a little off my game because I'm just grieving my dad. And he said, no, you're not off your game. All feelings are part of the game.
Aww.
You're exactly where you need to be. Which again made me cry.
Extra bonus points, hubby.
And it helped me remember we're never off our game. This is the game.
This is the game.
This game of being human. This game of having feelings. This game of having, I'm sad and depressed today, and tomorrow I'll feel better.
Yes.
So many people feel just, bored or useless. People that I've been talking to, I don't have enough to do. And I'm really paying attention to that for me. I've had the added bonus of having friends come to move in at the end of this month. So I've been cleaning and organizing and emptying cupboards and really looking at things that we moved in 4 years ago that we've never touched. Things that have been languishing in the back of cupboards. And so organizing and cleaning is a great activity to have me feel like I'm doing something, like I'm engaged in a process of releasing and opening space and creating some order in my world that I can control. I can control my spice cabinet. I can control where I keep my, baking supplies. I may not be able to control the government or what people are saying or COVID. So what can I put my hands on, put some love into, put some attention on, create space and divine order, and always remembering that my peace is not outside of me, that this is the game of life. We're playing this game, and my peace is not dependent on outside circumstances. And all of that, just in the last week or so, has helped me feel a little more grounded, a little less rocky, a little less tenuous, and accepting of whatever I'm feeling in the moment.
Right.
And I don't have to make an excuse for it.
Yes.
I'm not ever off my game.
Yeah.
So that's where I am at today.
Well, it helps to live with a philosopher.
He pays attention. I'm like, you've been paying attention to what I've been talking about, even though he doesn't always he's rarely at any of my gatherings anymore, but he listens. And
Don't you love it when your own advice comes back to you? Like, you probably said that to him 1,000 times. This is the game, babe.
Pretty much.
Okay, I'm just going to receive that because I need that.
Yeah. He's very good at saying often the right thing at the right time.
Oh, I love it.
So
That's
I'm
a
grateful
gift.
for that.
What a gift. Gosh, so much there. I always, when I listen to your opening shares, I'm like, okay, that's, wait, where to go? But, I think that what you're talking about, cleaning out and the spice rack and the whole, it's such a beautiful symbology of what we're called to do on the inner right now.
Yeah.
Like all this clutter, so we could have spaciousness, so we could have more of that. I love how you talked about loving, what was the term you used for your stepdad? Just loving him up.
Just loving him up.
So we have more space to love ourselves up. Yeah. Like move that old grody spice rack out of from 1990. That's resentment and grody stuff. Don't need that. I need the space for love right now. And for me, I have been this last week present to a lot of anger.
Good.
Yeah. It's like, babe, get those mitts out. Like my husband's a guru of martial arts, and when I'm really that boiling inside, I'm like, get the mitts out. I need to hit or something. And I used to be such a pacifist. Like, I don't believe in martial arts, babe. I don't, get them out. Get that punching bag out. But it came. Well, we were up in the mountains for 5 days.
Yeah. How did that go?
Amazing.
And you didn't get rained on.
Yeah, the first 2 days.
Oh, okay. Oh, because it wasn't much here.
This whole thing was like, okay, I wake up Friday morning, planning to leave on Saturday, have a few last minute things to do on Friday. He wakes me up and says, babe, I looked at the schedule. We actually have to leave today. And I'm like, no, that's the last sign. I'm not going. I'm like, I was looking for all the signs to not go, And I'm like, so I just said, look, we'll just get through the day, and we'll go for a hike, and if we want to go more, we'll go more. And that's how we did the whole journey.
Oh, good.
Like, until we got too far up in the mountains that we couldn't turn back. But there were the first 2 days, I was like, babe, thank you for believing in me. But what the hell were you thinking? I'm like, what the hell? So I can barely, I'm like regaining my physical strength. I can barely get around the block on my bike. And you're taking me up to 5,000 something elevation level. Right. So 2 major meltdowns, and the second day it was choice point. Either go back or continue. And he did a brilliant thing. He's like, let's just go back. So the minute he said, let's just go back, I knew I didn't want to do that. And I said, no, I want to keep going. And I said, just give me a minute. And I wandered a little bit, and up in the mountains, I found a penny. And pennies are my thing. Like you talked about your dad. Both my parents died when I was a kid. When I'm most doubting and in fear, I find pennies.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like my mom or my dad, I don't know, someone saying, honey, you're okay, keep going. So it was my keep going. And I'm like,
Aw.
I found my slide. Let's go. And so then we went. And then by the third day, we got up to Heart Lake. Second day, third day. And oh, by the way, first day, hiked in the dark because we didn't get to the trailhead till 7 o'clock at night. In the dark, in the rain. And
I love it.
I know, but the thing that was cool about it, I swear I thought I was in a dream. Like I couldn't tell what was real or not. So I was like, this is a cool dream, I think. And we did it. No headlamps.
Wow.
It's amazing. Until the very end when we found the campsite. Anyway, beautiful trip. But I want to go back to the anger. So on the trip, I could feel these bursts of anger. I mean, you know, years ago I used to never swear. I went, no. F that. You know, like the last year, actually after my throat surgery, I knew I needed to express, and I told Ben, I have to practice and do game. I need to express, and I will try not to dump it on you, but sometimes it's going to have to come. Can you hold space? Yes. So this trip, I was a lot of dropping the F-bombs up there.
All right.
You know, and then and a lot of crying. We talk about grief. I wept almost every day. It was a mixture of grief because I was so out of this container, and then I was in the container of possibilities and nature, and I was weeping and clearing, and also tears of gratitude, and just a lot of emotion, right? So it was all beautiful trip. Come back, and I needed like a good 2 days of recovery. My body was like, it was a miracle. Like, I don't know how. I mean, I was like, God, get me up this mountain. And I only had 2 blisters and 1 little hand blister from walking sticks. No injuries, you know. So, but I came back, and it didn't take long, honestly. And I'm embarrassed to say this, with all of my practice, and you know, when COVID first started and quarantine first started, even before that, I remember I made a post that said, you know, all the books you've read, all the classes you've taken, all the seminars, this is the test. Not like in a bad thing, you're going to be fail, but this is what we've been practicing for, and yet it's like, are you kidding me, right? Don't trust me so much. Don't trust us so much. It's too much. But it didn't take long. I came back in, and we made an agreement, no Facebook, no news for the first day. The second day I peeked on something, and I was triggered. Boom, just like that. Out of my peaceful bubble from the mountains into back to this, like, and then the anger came. I was triggered, then I was angry, and I could feel this dance of my old way and my new way. I could feel the don't say anything, be nice, and like 2 choices. I only had 2 choices: either, you know, really get angry or don't say anything. So I'm really trying to explore that middle ground.
Yeah, does it have to be all or nothing?
Right, that middle, like, I'm angry, and that's okay, you know, even if, especially like us, being professional people who hold, you know, sacred space.
Yeah.
Yes, we're human. We say that all the time, but still, I think sometimes people have us on a sort of pedestal, and you sort of be this way or that way, and I think maybe I might have bought into that unconsciously. So I was like kind of this stuck place, and then I could just feel the world seeping back in, and more anger. But what I remember, and this is the thing, you know, we all called forward this time so that those tender places and wounded places could come up and be looked at. And so this for me is a lot of old grief. You talk about your dad and you're feeling that grief. This is the thing people don't understand about grief. Like, oh, it's on a calendar, it's been a year, we're good, right?
No, there's no timeline.
There's no timeline. It's forever in your journey. And sometimes those sneakers, you know, you're present to your stepdad, and you feel the loss of your bio dad. You feel the loss. I lost my dad when I was 9. I still miss the masculine.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because I didn't know him as well as I knew my mom, because he was gone most of my life and then came back and then left. But so I never dream about him. My mom, I still have those connections and I just allow that this is grief. I'm missing my mom, I'm missing my dad. But this is a big grief of not only my individual journey, but the collective. And so that's what has been on my mind the last 2 days, working with the anger, working with these bigger, intense emotions. And I love how you said, it's all okay. You know, people are hard on themselves because we're not doing enough, or we're not busy enough, or we're not enough. That too is a clue. The narrative we're telling is the undercurrent story that's trying to come present to say, wow, why am I still believing I'm not enough? Why am I still believing it's not okay to be angry, or whatever? Whatever's showing up is really rich.
Last time we talked, you said right towards the end something about loving all the ugly feelings, and I noticed I had a new visceral reaction in my body to the word ugly feelings.
Yes.
And I don't want to be a word police, because I've been a word police a lot, you know, especially since I got, you know, into spirituality and stuff on a conscious level. I became the word police. You know, don't say that, say this, or, you know, maybe there's another way to say that, or whatever. So I was like, nope, I'm not going to do that. But I noticed, I'm like, now I want to share it with you, because I noticed this internal visceral reaction. Like, I've spent so much of my life calling parts of myself ugly, physical parts of myself and emotional parts of myself. These are ugly feelings. These are bad feelings. These parts of me are ugly or bad.
Yes.
And I was like, no, there are no ugly feelings. And then like 3 days later, Will says, you know, it's all part of the game. And I had a women's group this last Saturday. And I felt this energy from everybody, as you know, they were texting me they were coming, or emailing me they were showing up, and we were going to be safely distant but present in the room. And as soon as they got here, I made them all walk out onto the garden. And I said, we've all got a lot of pent up stuff, and we're all nice, and we don't let all this stuff out. So I said, before we sit down to share, let's get rid of some energy. And I said, I'm going to invite you to do whatever you choose to do, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stomp around in the garden, and I'm going to cuss and swear, and I'm going to yell and say all the things that my high holy spiritual self doesn't like to say, because they're, you know, it's negative, or it's calling bad energy, and, you know, all these stories we have that I'm over.
Right, right.
So I stomped around the garden, swearing and cussing up, I'm so mad at these people, you know, like, Fargo, but, you know, all the really strong language.
Yes.
So I was modeling for people. I said, the trees can take it, the ground can take it, we're not aiming it at each other, we've got all this space, just let it out. And a couple people kind of joined me, and then a couple people were like, I don't really need to do that. And then 5 minutes later, I hear more yelling. I said, even if you just want to yell, just like, ah, you know. So I started to howl. It was so good. And then we sat down to share, and we were much more present.
Yes.
Everybody wasn't like trying to contain all their rage and hold in all these feelings. I know I taste delicious, but I'm busy right now. I know, but I'm busy right now. So that's part of what, you know, it's like we got to let this stuff out.
Yes. It's so interesting, because I caught that too. I was like, wow, I don't usually say the word ugly anything. And I caught it in that present moment too. And I let it go too.
Yeah.
Like, it's just what is in this moment. And, you know, there was something on Facebook. I had written something and somebody commented, and I was also thinking about that, how to clean that up. And I just left it. I didn't do I actually, frankly, didn't have the energy when I got back from the mountains. I was like, I got nothing for Facebook right now. But there was a part of me that wanted to go clean it up, because I had expressed myself in a way that I don't normally, but I allowed myself. It was a frustrating day to have a very real, human, authentic expression of, I'm pissed off at people.
Yeah.
I actually had people messaging me saying, you know, I used to follow you because you were so positive, and now you're posting all this stuff that's really intense. And so I was sort of speaking to them, and I just did this thing, and I put it out there, and I'm just like, you don't like it, unfriend me. And that's not like me.
Yeah.
And I got a little pushback on that, and I was like, oh no, I better fix that. No, I'm not going to fix it. It was me having a human experience on my wall, on Facebook, and I let it be. And that was different. And I think the thing that I'm trying to honor is allowing space for the different, especially now. It may look uncomfortable and weird, and like you might want to fix it and make it better, but allow the different. It's because we're going from here to here. We want to be in this middle ground. We're going to pendulum swing to some opposite, maybe back to the safe place. We want to get this rich in between ground of, I'm human, I'm on a spiritual path, all of me is welcome. Any viewpoint, that one viewpoint does not define who I am, And if somebody defines me by that they don't know me, it's
Right.
okay.
That's okay.
It's okay. So it's just been, yeah.
Yeah, can we know the totality of each other and
Yes.
allow the totality of each other? You know, I like Ernest Holmes says, you know, there could be nothing bad as long as it doesn't hurt you or somebody else.
Yes.
So there's some stuff that's been happening, and there was a call to condemn it, and I used the word condemn. I condemn white supremacy. I condemn white supremacy.
Yes.
So I'm just saying that right here, right now, claiming that. And somebody pushed back on the word condemn, and then did a dictionary definition of condemn, which in my reading of it, it was like, I still condemn it. I said I can condemn without hating. I can condemn a behavior, and I can condemn an impact of a system and a belief. I can condemn anything that is not the highest and best good for all concerned. I can condemn something without hating it or hating the person.
Yes.
And that was where I wanted to clarify, because this person clearly pushed back on my use of the word condemn.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I get that. I said, I hear that that's a challenging word. I would have not used that word a while ago. But even in the definition posted, I was like, yes, I do condemn this belief and this idea because it hurts people. It hurts everyone.
Yeah.
So I can condemn that without any problem and also stay in the truth. And I then, 10 minutes later, read a beautiful prayer by a minister that I really admire, David Alexander. And he said, I do pray for President Trump and his wife, and I do pray for their healing. And I pray for them to wake up from the sleep they've been in. And I pray that they, have an increased consciousness and awareness of the good in the, it was the most beautiful prayer.
Yes.
Including what's possible.
Yes.
And what's below all the surface behavior.
Yes.
And I'm not wanting to be political in this statement, but it's for me, for anything, if I've hurt someone, then I need to fix that. And I can condemn my own behavior without hating myself. I can condemn the belief that had me lash out at somebody.
Yeah.
Without without condemning myself.
Yeah.
So can we be authentic with each other and kind?
Yes, and kind.
As much as possible, and at the same time stand for a world that works for everyone.
Yeah.
And that means everyone.
Yes.
And for me, that means that people who were asleep to the connection we all share wake up, because that's a blessing for them.
Yes. Totally. And I saw an old post that popped up about, I can't remember who it was, we're talking about wouldn't it be great if we taught these things in elementary school, right? But empathy, but also taking personal responsibility, because it's almost like like when I've done women's circles, we always say, here are the guidelines. You're going to get triggered. Hopefully you will, but look here first. Look within you, and instead of pointing at everyone else, it's not about the other people. It's about you. It's about us. So if we all had that, like in elementary school, learned how to be with our own feelings and what does this mean about me, and sort that out, because I think I am done with Facebook too. I saw your post, and
I'm not completely done, but I'm really going to wean way back.
Yeah, it's been hard for me because I resisted Facebook.
Me too.
But, moved from California like you, and it was a way for me to connect with people. But I said, anything you do with intention. What's my intention? I want to inspire and uplift people. Well, I think my inspire and uplift tank just ran on down, because I'm like, I got nothing for anybody right now today, last 2 weeks anyway. But also the noise of it all, and that. Oh, I will say this: I'm getting the sun in my eyes. So
it makes you look glowy, though, which is really nice. Makes your eyes sparkle.
Thank you. That. Even any posts I get where people push back on me, I do my work. I went in, I was like, what is this about anyway? And what did prompt me to go to that level? And I did get this huge piece for myself of why I'm so triggered by this division. And it was back to my childhood, when no one would listen to me. When I would say, I came in just as a love bug. Let's love each other. Let's be kind. Don't say that. Say this. I was policing when I was a little one.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like, could you say that nicer? and nobody changed. Nobody listened. And that was huge because I'm like, wow, you're still hooked in to wanting other people to change. And that's not your job.
Yeah, my peace is not out there.
It's
and
not
it's
out
not dependent
there.
on their behavior.
Nope, it's
right
not.
here.
But that, and most of the things we reference come from that pool of our early beginnings, and then we see it for all the projection coming back of nobody's listening to me when I post all my happy inspirational posts. They're still being ugly, ugly. Sorry, I'm gonna say ugly. They're still not. They're not playing nice, and I can't do anything about it. And I really felt that so deep, the helplessness of a child trying to change my external in order to get my needs met was amplified in this current moment.
Yeah.
So
Why are mommy and daddy yelling at each other?
Why are you all doing that? Sit down, let me talk to you. So,
let me show you how to behave.
Right? So I identified that. I was like, okay, I can unhook from that. I'm putting too much emphasis on what other people are doing. And yep, back to your spice rack. We cannot control that. Those peppery people out there. I don't want pepper in my spice rack. I want sugar and cinnamon. No.
Well, and in watching the organizing shows that I was watching, and also helping my mom reorganize her space, I'd say, do you need this? And she'd start to go on a long story about it. And I say, I don't care whether, I don't need to know that you need this or not, or want to keep it. Mm-hmm. That's not important. Mm-hmm. If you want to keep it, the only question is, where are we going to put it? That's it. It doesn't have to be important to me. I don't have to understand why you want this one particular little bottle, because I've got stuff like that, that I keep this because. Mm-hmm. And because is a valid reason, yes. For stuff we choose. Mm-hmm. We can choose stuff that doesn't make sense to anybody else. Where are we going to keep it?
Yeah. That's really, I'm seeing this as all a big metaphor.
Yeah.
You want to hold on to your anger a little bit? Where are you going to keep it?
Yeah.
Is it going to live in your heart? Yeah. Where's it going to live?
You can put it in the dark corner of the back of the closet.
Right.
And every time you open the closet, it's like,
well, there, yeah.
It made me think of Harry Potter for some reason.
Yeah. But you can keep it, or you can do something else with it. Yeah. But sometimes, in this unfolding, we can only do what we can do in this moment, and sometimes people need to hold on to their anger, and it can be purposeful. I'm looking at this like it's a purposeful, perfectly timed arrival of this anger for me right now.
Yeah.
Now, how I use it in a healthy way is the question, and how I, because we trained in a lot of that. I remember someone saying years ago about Thich Nhat Hanh saying, "Do not practice anger. Do not." And I remember thinking, well, what do you do with it? I'm not going to practice, do anything with you. So this message we got, this messaging of just, pray it away, affirm it away, look away.
Yeah, I don't think we have to practice it. We're all very good at it.
Yeah.
We don't have to practice it at all. It's
Yeah.
what do we want to do with it?
What do we want to do?
Can I stomp around in the garden to get rid of the energy that it's holding?
Yes.
So that I don't put it out. I don't want to practice on somebody else.
Yes, yes.
or my dog, or, or the people out there that I can't do anything about.
Yes.
So what else do I want to do with it?
Yeah. And I love your stomping around. That's, and for me, like sometimes get out he's got a kickboxing thing. Get that out.
I thought for a long time kickboxing would probably be a good practice for me.
Yeah.
Because I know I've got a lot of rage that needs to be expressed.
Right.
And if I don't express it, then it just gets messy.
Yes.
If I don't find a way to get the energy charge out, that's everything. And I'm seeing a big shift in our movement, and I'm seeing a big shift in the spiritual world and consciousness, where people are saying, no, all the shadows have to be brought to light, to be, accepted as a shadow, not to try to change the shadow, but accepted that we have both. We have day and we have night. We have dark and light. We have all of it. And what do we want to do with it?
Yes.
Which part do we want to, kind of let run our day-to-day life? And then are there places and times where it's appropriate to go stomp around and, yell at the tree because the tree can take it, because it's not going to hurt the tree.
Yeah, but it is good to identify some healthy expressions of anger. Did you ever see the movie, I think it's How to Make an American Quilt? It's an old one with Winona Ryder.
Yes.
And all the classic women that I love. Janine Rocket? No.
Yeah.
So these two women that are just like, I would always watch that movie and go, I want to be like that when I get older. But there's a scene where the woman is betrayed by her husband. I think he has an affair with her sister, and her anger. And in this movie, I was like, great expression, demonstration of allowing space for anger. So she's taking all the ceramics and throwing them at him, and everything she can get her hands on, just breaking everything. And so then, over the years, as it's unfolding, she takes these broken pieces and makes a beautiful mosaic in one room, and it's this wall of all the memories and all the anger, and she's now making peace with it and making beauty out of it.
Yeah.
So the thing to remember is the anger is not us. It's an energy coming through, like the guest house, inviting this anger. You're a guest. Why are you here? You're here for some reason.
Yeah.
And then the key that you said, it's got to be moved in a healthy way. Otherwise, we're going to be contaminating this world. It's already pretty contaminated and toxic.
Yeah.
Instead of contributing something back. Yeah. So stomping. What else have we got? What else do you do?
Yelling is good.
Yeah.
Cussing is good.
Yeah, cussing.
I just found a trampoline, one of those small personal trampolines in our little storage because I was cleaning stuff out, and I'm like, it's belonged to my mom and stepdad, but it's been stored here for 4 years. Nobody's jumping on that thing, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna jump.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna jump on the trampoline because I can jump without it hurting my bones.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna hurt my knees if I'm stomping and jumping on the trampoline. I can just bounce and let some energy out that way.
Yes.
And I've also got a couple of those round exercise balls that I can also just sit and bounce on.
Yeah.
But the jumping feels good.
Yeah.
That's like moving that energy through. Creating art out of broken pieces is really powerful. That for me was kind of the beginning of a shift of energy in a healthy way when I created this art thing over there. That we smashed a bunch of chairs, and I got to smash stuff, which was great. But then we turned it into something. We didn't just leave it as a pile of trash.
Right. Yeah.
We turned it into something.
Yeah. I love that we're surrounded by nature here. And so, like, there were times when I was, by the way, anger is just hurt expressed outward.
Right.
So it's another place to express the anger, but then be with what's hurting in here. What is this pain about, right? But going down to the spit, I've done this on a few occasions. You go down where the ocean is loud, and you go up to the left instead of the right, where everybody goes, and you can scream out loud, and nobody can hear you.
Yeah.
Or roll your windows up, and just get it out. It feels so good.
Yeah, it does.
Just get it out.
Yeah, I used to bang on my steering wheel. I'm like, no, that hurts me. I want to hit something that doesn't hurt me. A pillow is fine. Yeah. Something soft where the energy can get released without, again, no harm to me or anybody else.
That's right.
That's for me the big key. And occasionally stuff slips out, and I don't, then now I'm catching it quicker. And I can pull it back and go, that's not what I meant to say to you. I've got some feelings that need to clearly be expressed.
Yes.
And if it is something about that other person, then I get to figure out how I can say that in a way that's actually helpful.
Yes.
Instead of creating more resistance, creating more resentments or shame, because that's not it either. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. This morning I was thanking my husband for catching some of my anger, but I'm like, please, I know you've got a fiery